Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. Let read together. Have fun. This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Around noon. At Dazheng Palace. Hua Chongyang explained the situation in the divine capital to the Big Dipper Academy. Dazheng Palace was quiet. Zhou asked, Zhou Yukai, any bright ideas? Zhou Yukai bowed and said, the other tribesmen spies causing trouble in the divine capital is, indeed, a difficult problem. Previously, anyone entering the divine capital will be subjected to examinations. The recent coup gave them an opportunity to enter the capital. If we want to solve this, we can only search every household by mobilizing every resource and drag them out from their hiding places. Hua Chongyang said, although that's possible, it's too slow. The other tribesmen spies declared that they would kill 5 civilians every day. I'm afraid this method will take at least 3 to 5 days with the size of the divine capital. Zhou Yukai nodded. Or, we can drive them out of the city and guard the 4 gates. Everyone will be questioned to verify their identities when they enter the city. That won't do. It's extremely complicated to verify their identities. This needs the cooperation from the court officials. Now that the Nether Sect has taken over the divine capital, they're doing all they can to keep their distance from us, Hua Chongyang said. Upon hearing this, Duanmu Sheng struck the floor with his overlord spear and cursed, those good-for-nothings from the imperial court. What are we keeping them around for if they're not doing anything? Let me end them with my spear right now. It's easy to kill but difficult to make them submit. Hua Chongyang shook his head and sighed. We'll leave their submission for another day. Zhou looked at Zhou Yukai and said, Zhou Yukai. Yes, Senior G? Do you have anyone from your academy to activate the 10-terminal formation? When he heard this, Zhou Yukai said confidently, only divine court realm cultivators are needed to guide the 10-terminal formation. That can easily be done. Activate 9 of them and keep everyone inside the city. Is that possible? Zhou asked. Naturally, Zhou Yukai replied. Good. Zhou stood up. Hua Chongyang, how many Nether Sect members are there in the divine capital? We have 8,000 members here. They're evenly divided between the 4 directions, Hua Chongyang replied. What about the Imperial Guards? The Imperial Guards can mobilize 6,000 men. Compared to the defenses of the divine capital before this, it was indeed much weaker now. It was no wonder the other tribesmen were so arrogant. Zhou's mind began to turn. Although they were, collectively, weaker, the 10-terminal formation could last for 2 hours. With the help of his disciples, it should not be a problem for them to clear these rats out. Zhou said coldly, we'll flush the spies out this afternoon. Make preparations. Understood. The others bowed. Zhou called out, Hua Chongyang. Your orders, Senior G. Zhou suddenly raised a palm. A critical heal card appeared in his palm. He clenched his fist, invoking the card's power. He pushed his hand forward, and a Buddhist merciful arc of salvation descended on Hua Chongyang like a ray of light. Hua Chongyang immediately felt warm inside. His internal injuries were being swiftly healed. He was delighted. He did not waste time and fell to his knees and expressed his gratitude. Thank you, Senior G. Get to work. In the afternoon. The people inside the divine capital were anxious. I say we move out. The sooner the better. The Nether Sect is from the fiend path, after all. They wouldn't care about the lives of common folks. Someone sighed. When the Nether Sect attacked Yan province, they did all they could to protect the people. How could they change after they've conquered the empire? That's what they mean by a leopard can't change its spots overnight. I bet that the city will be empty in a few days. Are we going to stay here and become livestock for the other tribes to slaughter? Similar conversations could be heard everywhere in the divine capital. Everyone wondered if the evil Sky Pavilion would do something or release the Deep Eye tribesman, Lu Li. The cultivators shook their heads helplessly. Although the Nether Sect is powerful, the other tribes are still running rampant. If they aren't dealt with, it'll only lead to chaos. When that time comes, we'll all be subjugated. Was that not the objective of the other tribes? The people were still caught in a heated discussion when someone pointed at the Imperial City. He's out. The evil Sky Pavilion's Patriarch has come out. He's out? Let's go have a look. At this moment, many cultivators and civilians were gathered in front of the Imperial City. More and more cultivators flew toward them from a distance. Without the Imperial Guards, the flying restriction in the Divine Capital was no longer in effect. Zhou stood on the city wall with his hands on his back as he looked down at the others. Duanmu Shang, Yi Tianqin, Zhao Yu, Zhu Honggong, Little Yuan, and Kong stood behind him. Zhou spotted a few spies among the people, but he was not in a hurry. When he was satisfied with the size of the crowd, he waved his hand. With this signal, Hua Chongyang stepped forward. He released a sound wave as she said, "Spies are wreaking havoc inside the Divine Capital. They go against moral conduct and rob innocent lives. The merciful Senior G is giving you a chance to surrender yourselves now. Anyone who does so will be left with an intact corpse." Some of the civilians kneeled and kowtowed as they said, "Please do something, Patriarch. Please do something, Patriarch." Hua Chongyang scanned the faces of the cultivators hovering in the air. At a time like this, I hope we can all set aside our differences for once and purge the city of spies. One of the cultivators hovering in the distance said, "Easy for you to say. Those spies are among us, how are we going to tell them apart? I want to kill them more than you do." Spies were not allowed to live under Great Yan's skies. Moreover, they had treated the lives of others like hay. Senior G. We've always been fearful and respectful of the evil Sky Pavilion. We have always admired you. We fully support you and agree with your decision to take out the spies. A voice came from below. Senior G, please think about the bigger picture. Release the 5 spies and ensure our safety. We can flush the spies out slowly. Zhou looked down at the person. He was a deep-eyed tribesman. He did not rush to action. The others did not know that he was a deep-eyed tribesman, so it was not appropriate for him to act now. At this moment, an academy disciple flew over. He bowed and said, "Senior G, the preparations are complete." Zhou looked at the cultivators before him and calmly said, "I've given you a chance. Activate the formation." The academy disciple shouted, "Activate the formation." His voice resounded through the Imperial City. The expressions of the spies from Rulians, the deep-eyed tribesmen, and Lu Lan grew fiercer. Whiz. 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 The sound of thrumming energy resonated through the entire city. Soon enough, a curtain-like barrier appeared in the sky. The 4 city gates in the Divine Capital and the city walls were instantly covered by the barrier as well. The civilians and cultivators inside the Divine Capital who knew nothing about this came out and looked up at the skies in confusion. At the peak of the Imperial City, Zhou Yukai led 10 Big Dipper Academy disciples to complete the 10-terminal formation. Zhou ordered, "Bring Lu Li and the others here." Understood. Shortly after, Lu Li and his 4 companions were brought before the Imperial City and placed near the civilians. Zhou said indifferently, "I hate being threatened the most. Cut them down." The executioner did not hesitate and brought his blade down. The heads were lopped off, and they rolled toward the people. The civilians and cultivators widened their eyes. Senior G. You. Won't you anger the spies? What should the people do? Isn't this too rash? Someone muttered. Zhou said in a clear voice, "The other tribesmen spies have caused trouble and trampled on the lives of the people. How can I boost their morale by diminishing my courage?" When he saw the people keeping quiet, he added, "If I let them live, how am I supposed to face the people who died?" He was right. The spies were acting too arrogant. Zhou knew that even without the meager reward of merit points, he had to cut the spies down in front of the people. If he did not do this, how was he supposed to intimidate the other tribes? He expected the evil Sky Pavilion Patriarch to go against the spies who were hiding among the citizens. The spies, the citizens, and the cultivators hovering in the air looked at Zhou, who was in the Imperial City. They were staring at the greatest villain who could turn the world upside down with a single command to his disciples. They suddenly remembered that he was a villain. To think that the childish spies would threaten a villain with the lives of ordinary people. Was that not the greatest joke under the heavens? Some of them had bloodshot eyes, some were afraid, and some were worried. The executioner continued bringing his blade down, killing the final 2 spies they caught in the palace. Their heads rolled on the ground, leaving trails of blood in their wake. The blood resembled a winding stream and creeping vines at the same time. They were terrifying to look at. At this moment, many of the spies were thinking about how they were going to go wild as they sought revenge tonight. They would no longer only kill 5 civilians a day. They would turn the divine capital into hell by making the civilians of this city pay the price. Indeed, the evil Sky Pavilion was very powerful. It was so powerful that nobody dared to go against it. However, it did not mean they could not hide from it. If the evil Sky Pavilion had the guts, they should just kill everyone in the city. That way, they would not miss a single spy even if it would be at the expense of the people's lives. Would the old villain dare to do this? Did the Nether Sect not famously plead on behalf of Yen Province's people before? The fiend path could never be righteous. The plans of revenge in their minds would be the civilians' nightmares. The civilians present retreated slightly out of nervousness and fear. Some of them could not withstand the sight of the decapitated heads and turned around to vomit. At the peak of the Imperial City. Having received the approval, Zhou said in a clear voice, "I'm the president of the Big Dipper Academy, the guide for the Divine Capital's 10-terminal formation. I know you're all wary of the evil Sky Pavilion, and you must be curious why I'm aligning myself with the evil Sky Pavilion. When the king treats his servant with respect, the servant will repay the king with loyalty. Yet, since the emperor ascended the throne, he never once appeared in court or governed the empire. The Big Dipper Academy hereby lists out his 10 sins." Many Big Dipper Academy disciples appeared outside the city gates, handing out lists of the emperor's crimes. Some of the lists were pinned on notice boards. First, he's a muddle-headed tyrant. Second, he killed the innocent. Third, he was unfilial. Fourth, he was planning a rebellion. Fifth, he was unjust. Sixth, he was immoral. Seventh, he killed the loyal. Eighth, his research about the Golden Lotus brutally oppressed cultivators. Ninth, he deceived the monarch. 10th, he killed the monarch. The details of his crimes are listed below. 10,000 words are omitted. After the lists of charges were distributed, those who could read had difficulty believing their eyes. All of them began to discuss among themselves. A fake emperor? He was a fake emperor? An imposter? How's that possible? The letter of charges emphasized the crimes of killing and deceiving a monarch. This announcement was as shocking as a clap of thunder. There had been many similar rumors about Lu Gu before these charges were leveled against him. Now that they were announced Imperial City, the charges, naturally, gained credibility. Moreover, it was announced by the Big Dipper Academy. When a certain person was suspected by many, irrefutable truths no longer mattered. Nobody could stop the mouths of the masses. The people discussed heatedly among themselves. A moment later, someone said loudly, "Senior G, although I must admit that it felt great to see you kill those 5 spies, how are you going to ensure our safety? Are you really going to sit back and do nothing? How will you flush the spies out? Are you going to interrogate everyone?" Another person said, "The only thing I'm sure about now is that they will go on a revenge spree. I implore the Imperial City to deactivate the 10-terminal formation and let us go." The people were too afraid to stay in the Divine Capital. "We must leave the Divine Capital quickly." Some of them had been hoping that the evil Sky Pavilion would do something about this. They were clearly shaken now. "Are you sure that they won't go after you once you leave the Divine Capital? It'd be easier to kill you outside. Where are you going to run to? Are you going to hope that the cultivators follow you around and protect you?" Upon hearing these words, the civilians grew even more afraid. Before this, the human city was where they settled down and got on with their lives. It was their refuge. However, it seemed now like there was no place for them. Bang! Duanmu Xing flew down and struck the ground with his overlord's spear. Calm down. He looked valiant, and his gaze was sharp. The crowd in front of him took several steps back. At this moment, only 9 layers of the 10-terminal formation were activated. The final unactivated layer meant that some primal chi could still surge in, allowing the cultivators in the divine capital access to a little primal chi. My master has already said he will flush all the rats out today. Dear sir, how will your master do that? Are you going to point at a random person and declare that he's a spy? The people continued to discuss among themselves. At this moment, Lu Zhou flipped his hand, and the golden Taishu mirror appeared. The mirror buzzed. He turned the mirror out, and it shone like a torch. The beam of light fell on the person who was mocking Duanmu Sheng. In just a moment, a Wolf King avatar appeared before everyone else. A Wolf King avatar. He's a Rolian. What did I see? Good heavens, he's a Rolian spy. The crowd backed away as they looked at the Wolf King avatar in shock. When the Big Dipper Academy's president, Zhou, saw the mirror, he exclaimed in shock, "The Golden Taishu Mirror." The Golden Taishu Mirror could reveal a person's identity and cultivation base. This was a treasure of the Taishu Academy. The others were still in shock when Duanmu Sheng raised his overlord spear and shouted angrily, "Die!" He brandished his overlord spear, and thousands of spear shadows shot toward the Rolian spy's face. Bam! 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 The spy's expression was one of shock. He was at a complete loss, flustered that his identity had been revealed. He wanted to activate his protective energy, but he discovered only a piteous amount of primal chi could be found in the 9-terminal formation. Duanmu Sheng's attacks were extremely fierce and domineering. He did not allow his opponent an opportunity to rest. Imperfect divine intervention. He suddenly leaped into the air and brought his overlord spear down. When the 4 evil Sky Pavilion elders saw this, they suddenly recalled a scene they saw on Golden Court Mountain's training grounds. At that time, Duanmu Sheng's skills had not matured yet. It was flashy but held no substance. However, at this moment, his technique was polished and refined. When the spear shadows bore down on his opponent, a shining golden energy appeared at the tip of the spear. Bam! The Rolian was hit by the Overlord spear, and his feet sank into the ground. The Overlord spear did not relent. It continued to press down. Bam! The spy was on his knees now. The stone slabs on the ground cracked. Just like that, the battle ended. Duanmu Sheng withdrew his Overlord spear. That was amazing, third senior brother. Your spear techniques are getting more and more domineering, third senior brother. After enjoying the praises, Duanmu Sheng stepped forward proudly and ignored the others. The kneeling Rolian's eyes were filled with fear as he faced the peak of the imperial city. My master has said that the rats will be flushed out today. Those who saw the golden Taishu mirror in Lu Zhou's hands understood its use after witnessing the scene earlier. Realization finally dawned on the civilians, and they quickly prostrated themselves. Please do something, evil Sky Pavilion. Please do something, evil Sky Pavilion. As the people shouted, the other tribesmen spies among the crowd grew fearful. They looked at the curtain-like barrier in the sky. 2 hours. They had to survive these 2 hours. The divine capital was huge, there would surely be places for them to hide. At this moment, Lu Zhou said in a clear voice, "Cultivators can't hide in front of the golden mirror. Since I'm in charge of the divine capital, how can I allow spies to harm the people?" The 5-leaf Lu Zhou circulated his primal chi and projected his voice. Hundreds of civilians fell to their knees and thanked him. Thank you, Patriarch. Thank you, Patriarch. Ding. Received sincere kowtows from 350 individuals. Reward, 3,500 merit points. Zhou immediately bowed and said, Senior G, I didn't know the golden mirror is in your possession. Since that's the case, we shouldn't put this off any longer. Let's look for the spies as quickly as possible. Pan Lydian said, I'm afraid that it's slightly difficult to locate every single one of the spies in 2 hours. However, they had no choice but to flush all of them out. Otherwise, the spies would definitely go on a revenge spree. Zhou nodded and stroked his beard as he glanced at the curtain-like barrier in the sky. Zhou Yukai looked at the crowd and said, the other tribes are causing trouble. Great Yin cultivators should work together to rid the city of the enemy. He knew that some cultivators would still view the evil sky pavilion in a biased light no matter what. Duanmu Sheng gripped his overlord's spear tightly. He stepped forward. Master, let's begin. The 4 evil sky pavilion elders leaped down as well. Zhou replied calmly, sure. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Zhou pushed away lightly from the ground and flew up.